so like you. Action star, super cool. In the shoe.
Hi everybody and welcome to my video analysis of The Shoot, an on-rail shooter developed by Cohort Studios exclusively for the PlayStation Move and released last October. Yeah, I'm a bit late with this, so I apologize for that. Anyway, contrary to most shooters out there, The Shoot doesn't put you against a terrorist organization or anything like that, but rather in the shoes of an action movie actor. Every stage is in fact a movie shooting stage, set in a different scenario, and mostly populated by cardbox cutouts representing your targets. The traditional energy bar is replaced by the level of gratification of the director, which you can see in the upper right corner of the screen. Getting hit or hitting innocents pisses him off and eventually leads to failure. But you can revert this process by performing well, so de facto your energy bar goes up and down dynamically depending on your performance. Performing well is not just about hitting your targets though, it's about doing so without wasting any bullet in the process. You have infinite ammo and there is no need to reload, but if you want to please the director and most importantly build the score multiplier, you need to be accurate and chain consecutive hits. Miss one single shot and the multiplier gets halved. This is the main difference between this game and Time Crisis, where speed more than accuracy is what is needed to build a high score. There are other differences of course, but I'll get to them later. For now, let's focus on the basics. As I said, precision is important in The Shoot, and the PlayStation Move does its job exceptionally well as long as you don't pretend to shoot down the sights like you would with a real light gun. The pointer is what you need to focus on, and it reacts to your inputs fast and precisely.
Try getting in a rhythm. Okay, so focus. Do not me.
By default, sensitivity is set to maximum and smoothness to minimum, but you can tweak those values as you please in the option screen. By lowering the sensitivity, you basically make it so that the pointer doesn't jump around too much as you pull the trigger, without affecting too much the speed at which it can traverse the screen. What does affect the speed is the smoothness option, which on the other hand smoothens the cursor behavior. Setting the sensitivity to minimum and the smoothness to maximum of course results in a less than optimal setup, as it feels like aiming underwater. I'd suggest to leave the default settings as they are, perhaps lower the sensitivity a little bit to compensate the pointer shaking occurring when pulling the trigger. Moving on, as you can see here as I shoot at the game logo, which is nicely done in 3D and interactive, the collision detection is very precise, which is of course nothing extraordinary, but brings me to the main issue I have with this game. It's not a huge one, but in the context of the above-mentioned scoring system, it can be annoying. First of all, I need to describe what happens under the hood when you pull the trigger. Take a close look at this sequence and notice how the enemy to the left gets hit despite what seems to be a miss on my part. But that's not really the case. Going by what I understood analyzing my footage, there is some sort of output delay rather than an input one causing this. This is basically the moment input is registered, and that's a hit. While this is the moment you start seeing a reaction on screen. Notice the cursor shrinking. This output delay doesn't affect the gameplay per se, as the input is registered timely, but it makes the shooting action feel less tight and rewarding than in, say, Time Crisis, which is aggravated by the curious lack of rumble feedback as well as of any sort of a splash effect. About collision detection, there are also some oddities to point out. Here you can see me intentionally missing my target by a handful of pixels. And here is me doing the same with another target, but this time I get the hit. Generally though, collision detection is spot on, which helps dealing with civilians. But then again, the hitboxes around the targets are so small it's very easy to miss them, especially if moving at high speed. This, coupled with the output delay, leads to many WTF moments. But wait, there is more oddity to report. Check this sequence and pay close attention to the dents appearing on the train in the background. Rewatching this in slow motion brings up another byproduct of the output delay, as the game seems to have trouble registering hits properly. Notice how the dents appear to the right of the cursor. This is both odd and fascinating to watch. Lastly, sometimes even the breeze can get in the way, as they can shield the target from your bullets. If you play casually, you can easily overlook at these falls, which are rare anyway, not so much if you are serious about building your high scores. Okay, this boring part out of the way, let's see some cool stuff you can do with the PlayStation Move. First of all, you can hide behind cover and dodge ballistic attacks by actually doing so with your body. It's not super responsive, but gets the job done. While it comes natural to move your body, you are not required to do that, as it's all based on the sphere position tracking, so you can simply move the controller rather than yourself.
Okay, now build on that.
At different moments throughout each stage, you also get to perform some quick drawing. You have to point the controller down and raise it when you are asked to. Fail at doing so timely and you either get hit or simply piss the director. Sometimes the slow motion occurring when you draw is used to help you finish off simple bosses like this one, which is protected by a blinking energy shield. Or this one that spins around, revealing the weak spot on his back. There is nothing particularly exciting in these moments, albeit this last confrontation at the end of the Old West stage is pretty cool, as you have to dodge while shooting bad guys and freeing ladies. One last basic action you can perform is the melee attack. To execute it, you are supposed to swing the move forward as the tutorial tells you, which is a bit of a generic way to describe what you are actually supposed to do to execute the action consistently, which is more akin to what you are seeing me doing here.
Good, now give me more!
By successfully performing consecutive hits, you are awarded the so-called style shots, which are special actions you can trigger with specific gestures. The show time slows down time for a few seconds and it is activated by spinning around on the spot. For increasing the multiplier, this is pretty useful too, as it limits the risk of missing hits when faced with multiple targets or fast-moving ones. But you need to know when to perform it to maximize its benefits, otherwise you just waste it, like in this case. If you don't feel like getting dizzy to slow time, you can also activate the show time by spinning the motion controller over your head in a lasso motion. It also works by spinning the controller over your shoulder, but not as consistently.
Good, now give me more!
The shockwave acts as a smart bomb basically, and it's performed by pulling the trigger while pointing the controller to the ground. And finally we've got the Rampage style shot, which turns your gun into a machine gun and is activated by shooting at the ceiling or whatever you leave under. While in effect, missed hits don't affect the multiplier negatively, so you can go Rambo and try to get as many hits as possible. Okay, now let's talk about minigames. There are 5 in the shoot, but need to be unlocked by finding and shooting 8 puzzle pieces hidden in each scenario. The first one is a pretty simple but nicely done target practice challenge where you have to hit targets in each round without missing any. A rather nice replay of your last shot precedes some statistical information about your performance. I also love the music here, very Morricone. The Robotosphere is easily my favorite minigame. You have to shoot at targets around a sphere, which you can rotate freely by moving the controller while holding down the move button. There are 3 different types of time-based challenges. One requiring to shoot at matching symbols, another one asking to hit specific targets, and another one where the targets have to be shot in numerical succession. In this other one you have to destroy a set amount of tanks crossing the bridge below by shooting the bomb carriers that fly above them. Pretty simple, but quite challenging. The last 2 minigames are built around the virtual reality interface. This one is basically baseball, you swinging a pipe against a mine instead of a bat against a ball. You can also detonate the mine by pulling the trigger anytime, collateral damage adding points to those awarded based on distance covered by the mine. It's quite responsive and devoid of any assist, so it takes some practice to hit a home run. The last minigame is bowling, and just like the previous one there is no assist whatsoever. As you can see, in fact, you have complete control over the ball. You can move and rotate it anywhere in the 3D space, the direction of your throw dictated by how you actually swing your arm. While technically fascinating though, there is a rather sensible lag you need to compensate in order to properly throw the ball, especially when releasing it. Release it too late and it can get embarrassing. Sports champion Spoche is still the undisputed king of motion-based ball throwing dynamics. Anyway, at every round the distance from the pins increases while moving obstacles and extra score opportunities are tossed into the mix. Nice, if only it worked well consistently. Going back to the main game, one last thing to mention before ending this video relates to the engine performance. While generally running at 60 frames per second and impressive at physics calculations, there are moments of terrible screen tearing and slowdown, which are rather annoying as they affect the aiming. And on this last low point I salute you. Thanks for watching, ciao!